Hi guys! The recent episodes of ABC's General Hospital have delivered one of the most emotionally charged storylines in recent memory, centering on Giovanni Joe Palmieri's devastating discovery of his true parentage and the subsequent family crisis that has rocked Port Charles. The revelation that Brooklyn Quartermain and Dante Falconeri are his biological parents has created a complex web of emotions, betrayal, and difficult decisions that showcase the show's ability to tackle deeply personal family dynamics while maintaining its signature dramatic intensity. The shocking revelation and its immediate aftermath. Gio's world completely shattered during the nurse's ball when he learned that his entire life had been built on a carefully constructed lie. The truth emerged in the most public and humiliating way possible, as Joe overheard a private argument between family members that revealed Brooklyn and Dante were his real parents, not Camilla, the woman who had raised him with love and dedication. This devastating moment played out in front of the entire Port Charles community, adding layers of public embarrassment to an already traumatic personal revelation. The immediate aftermath was explosive and heartbreaking. Gio's reaction was visceral and symbolic. He smashed his beloved violin on stage, destroying not just an instrument but what he believed represented his connection to his adoptive mother Camilla. This dramatic gesture represented more than teenage anger. It was the destruction of his entire identity and the musical talent he thought he had inherited from the woman he considered his true mother. The violin had been his link to Camilla's memory, and its destruction symbolized his feeling that even his artistic gifts were built on deception. The escape and reflection period. Following the public revelation, Joe fled Port Charles with Emma, seeking refuge in a cabin where he could process the magnitude of what he had learned. This period of isolation was crucial for understanding Gio's emotional state and his feelings of betrayal. During their time away, Joe expressed his deep confusion about his identity, questioning whether his entire life had been built on lies. He struggled with feelings of abandonment, wondering if the Quartermain family's sudden affection for him was genuine or merely damage control after their secret was exposed. Emma served as his emotional anchor during this difficult time, providing the unconditional support that Joe desperately needed. She reassured him that Camilla's love for him had been real and genuine, helping him understand that his adoptive mother had truly cared for him regardless of the circumstances surrounding his adoption. This relationship with Emma became particularly important as she was the only person Joe felt he could trust in a world where everyone else seemed to have been keeping secrets from him. The confrontation with Sonny, seeking truth from family. Gio's decision to return to Port Charles led to a pivotal confrontation with Sonny Corinthos, a man who had been a father figure and benefactor throughout his life. This meeting was particularly significant because Joe needed to understand whether Sonny had been complicit in the deception that had defined his childhood. The conversation revealed the complex layers of family relationships that Joe was only beginning to understand. Sonny's assurances that he had been just as blindsided by the revelation as Joe himself provided some comfort, but also raised new questions about family loyalty and the extent of the deception. The revelation that Sonny was actually his grandfather added another layer of complexity to their relationship, transforming what Joe had perceived as mentorship into something more fundamentally familial. Sonny's past financial support for Gio's education and musical development now took on new meaning, though it also raised questions about whether this support was motivated by unknown family connections. The broader family dynamics and betrayal. The storyline has effectively explored the devastating impact of family secrets and the way they can destroy trust across generations. Brooklyn's confrontation with her mother Lois and grandmother Gloria revealed the extent of the conspiracy that had kept Gio's true parentage hidden. The family matriarch's belief that they had acted in everyone's best interests by arranging Gio's adoption through Camilla was met with Brooklyn's fury and sense of betrayal. Brooklyn's anger was particularly poignant because she realized she had been robbed of the opportunity to know her own son during his formative years. The revelation that family members had actively worked to keep the truth hidden, even after Camilla's death when Joe was only 12, added layers of complexity to the moral questions surrounding the family's decisions. This raised important questions about when family secrets become harmful rather than protective. Gio's identity crisis and future decisions. The most compelling aspect of Gio's storyline has been his struggle with identity and belonging. Having grown up believing he was an orphan who had been fortunate enough to find a loving adoptive home, The discovery that he was actually surrounded by biological family members who had chosen to remain anonymous created a profound crisis of identity. Gio's statement that Camilla was his real mother, not Brooklyn, reflected his loyalty to the woman who had actually raised him and his rejection of the biological connections that had been hidden from him. The storyline has also explored themes of abandonment and rejection that resonate deeply with audiences. Gio's perception that Brooklyn and Dante didn't want him to exist speaks to fundamental fears about being unwanted or unloved. While the adults involved may have believed they were making difficult decisions in everyone's best interests, from Gio's perspective, the secrecy felt like rejection and abandonment. The emotional climax and potential resolution. The anticipated confrontation between Gio and his biological parents promises to be one of the most emotionally intense moments in recent General Hospital history. The scenario of Gio expressing his pain as an orphan child while Brooklyn and Dante finally understand the full impact of their choices creates a powerful dramatic moment that addresses the real consequences of family secrets. This confrontation would force all parties to confront the gap between good intentions and actual outcomes. The possibility of Gio's permanent departure from Port Charles represents a rejection not just of his biological parents, but of the entire extended family structure that failed to protect him from this devastating revelation. His decision to leave would be both a protective mechanism and a form of punishment for those who kept the truth from him. This potential resolution reflects the realistic possibility that some family breaches cannot be easily healed, even with the best intentions. Implications for future storylines. Gio's story arc has significant implications for multiple character relationships and future storylines on General Hospital. The revelation has strained Brooklyn's relationship with her mother and grandmother, potentially creating long-lasting family divisions. Dante's role as a father figure has been complicated by his own ignorance of Gio's existence, raising questions about responsibility and knowledge in family relationships. Next, we will dive deep into the tangled web of secrets, betrayals, and shocking revelations surrounding Nina Reeves, Sasha Corbin, Michael Corinthos, and Willow Corinthos as a heated custody battle unfolds in Port Charles. The drama is reaching new heights with hidden pregnancies, clandestine relationships, and courtroom confrontations that promise to leave relationships shattered and lives forever changed. Buckle up as we explore the intricate details of this gripping storyline, unearthing new facets and potential consequences that could reshape the future for everyone involved. Nina Reeves and the burden of a secret. At the heart of this unfolding saga is Nina Reeves, a woman caught between loyalty to her daughter Willow Corinthos and a dangerous piece of information that could alter the course of a bitter custody dispute. Sources reveal that Nina has learned of a staggering secret. Sasha Corbin, a close confidant, is pregnant with Michael Corinthos' child, a revelation that could tip the scales in Willow's favor. Initially, Nina's maternal instincts and moral compass compel her to shield Sasha from the fallout of this bombshell. She wrestles with the decision, knowing that exposing the truth could devastate Sasha emotionally and socially in the tight-knit community of Port Charles. Instead, Nina chooses silence, hoping to protect a woman she cares for deeply while navigating the treacherous waters of family loyalty. However, this noble stance might be short-lived as courtroom dynamics threaten to unravel her resolve. Imagine the weight of this secret on Nina's shoulders as she sits in the gallery, watching the proceedings with a poker face, all while knowing she holds a trump card that could change everything in an instant. Diane Miller uncovers a scandalous past. Meanwhile, whispers of another scandal are making their way to Diane Miller, the sharp and unrelenting attorney representing Michael in the custody battle. Word on the street is that Diane has caught wind of a salacious affair between Nina and Drew Kane, a relationship that predates Drew's current involvement with Willow. This tidbit, known to a select few in Port Charles's elite circles, could become a weapon in Diane's arsenal. Intrigued by the potential implications, Diane begins to strategize, wondering if Sasha, as Nina's close ally, might be privy to this illicit romance. Determined to gain the upper hand for her client, Diane meticulously plans to corner Sasha during cross-examination, hoping to unearth this buried scandal in open court. Picture Diane in her element, her piercing gaze fixed on Sasha, ready to dissect every word and hesitation for a crack in the facade that could expose Nina and Drew's past indiscretions. Sasha Corbin faces a brutal cross-examination. The courtroom becomes a battleground as Sasha Corbin is called to the stand by Rick Lansing, Willow's attorney, with the initial intention of bolstering Willow's case. At first, Sasha stands firm, her testimony straightforward and devoid of any damaging revelations. She appears as a pillar of honesty, determined to speak the truth without malice. However, the atmosphere shifts dramatically when Diane takes the floor for cross-examination. With the precision of a seasoned predator, Diane probes Sasha, pushing her to reveal any compromising information about Drew Kane. Sasha's composure falters under the intense scrutiny, her eyes darting nervously as she grapples with the decision to protect her friend or succumb to the pressure. After a tense moment of silence, Diane's relentless questioning forces Sasha to confess the shocking truth about Nina and Drew's past sexual relationship. The courtroom gasps in unison as the revelation lands like a bombshell, leaving Nina pale with horror, Drew visibly shaken, and Willow utterly heartbroken to discover that her own mother was romantically entangled with the man she now loves. The emotional wreckage is palpable, with trust shattered in a single, devastating moment. Nina's retaliation and a shocking counterattack. The fallout from Sasha's testimony ignites a firestorm of emotions for Nina, who feels deeply betrayed by someone she sought to protect. The exposure of her intimate history with Drew not only humiliates her publicly but also severs the fragile bond with Willow, who recoils from both her mother and Drew in disgust. Fueled by a mix of anger and desperation, Nina decides that her initial restraint was a mistake. If Sasha can betray her so publicly, then all bets are off. Determined to secure Willow's victory in the custody battle at any cost, Nina approaches Rick Lansing with a game-changing piece of information. She discloses the secret she's been harboring, that Michael is the father of Sasha's unborn child, a fact both have desperately tried to conceal from the world. Nina's voice is cold and calculated as she instructs Rick to wield this revelation as a weapon when Michael takes the stand. As she locks eyes with Sasha across the courtroom, her glare is a silent declaration of war, signaling that this act of retaliation is personal. The once close relationship between Nina and Sasha crumbles into irreparable ruins, replaced by a bitter feud that promises more conflict ahead. Michael Corinthos under fire. The tension reaches a fever pitch as Michael Corinthos is called to the stand, unaware of the storm Nina has unleashed. Rick, armed with the explosive truth provided by Nina, wastes no time in dismantling Michael's carefully constructed defense. With calculated precision, Rick corners Michael, forcing him to confront the secret of Sasha's pregnancy and admit his paternity before a stunned courtroom audience. Michael's face flushes with a mix of shame and frustration as he confirms the truth, his voice barely above a whisper. This admission severely undermines his position in the custody battle, painting him as deceptive and irresponsible in the eyes of the court. The judge's expression hardens, and whispers ripple through the gallery as Michael's case teeters on the brink of collapse. Sasha, watching from the sidelines, feels the sting of Nina's revenge, knowing that her own moment of weakness on the stand has led to this catastrophic domino effect. The rift between her and Nina deepens, with no hope of reconciliation on the horizon, while Michael's future with his child hangs in a precarious balance. What lies ahead in Port Charles? As the dust settles on these earth-shattering revelations, the residents of Port Charles are left reeling from the consequences. Willow, caught in the crossfire of her mother's secrets and her husband's hidden life, faces an emotional crossroads. Can she forgive Nina or Drew? Or will this betrayal mark the end of her relationships with both? Michael's credibility is in tatters, and his fight for custody seems more uncertain than ever, with the added complication of a child on the way with Sasha. Meanwhile, Nina's calculated move against Sasha and Michael may have secured a temporary advantage for Willow, but at what cost to her own soul and familial ties? The once tight bond between Nina and Sasha is now a battlefield littered with resentment and distrust, promising more confrontations in the days to come. And let's not forget Drew, whose past with Nina has now cast a dark shadow over his present, potentially alienating him from Willow and others who once saw him as a man of integrity. What do you think about this whirlwind of drama unfolding in Port Charles? Do you believe Sasha made the right choice in revealing Nina and Drew's secret under pressure, or should she have held her ground? How do you see Nina's decision to retaliate impacting her relationship with Willow in the long run? And will Michael be able to salvage his case and reputation after admitting to being the father of Sasha's baby? Next, we will delve into the chaotic underbelly of Port Charles politics and personal vendettas as Congressman Drew Kane, also known as Drew Quartermain, finds himself entangled in a scandal that threatens to unravel his career and personal life. With accusations flying, secrets spilling, and unexpected alliances forming, the drama surrounding Drew's infamous Wild Night is about to explode in ways no one could have predicted. Join us as we unpack the layers of deception, betrayal, and desperation driving this gripping storyline, with new twists and intricate details that paint a fuller picture of the chaos in Port Charles. Drew Cain's public image hangs in the balance. Congressman Drew Cain, a prominent figure in Port Charles, is currently navigating a storm of public discontent. While a small faction of loyal supporters still stands by him, the majority of the town's residents are growing increasingly skeptical of his integrity. Rumors and whispers about a scandalous night have begun to circulate, tarnishing his once polished reputation as a man of honor. This infamous incident, which has become the talk of the town, is poised to either make or break Drew's standing in the community. If the truth behind that fateful evening comes to light, it could either vindicate him or destroy everything he's worked for. Imagine Drew walking through the streets of Port Charles, once greeted with smiles and handshakes, now met with sideways glances and hushed conversations as the weight of public opinion bears down on him like a storm cloud ready to burst. The shocking truth of the infamous night. Delving deeper into the events of that notorious night, ABC General Hospital recaps shed light on a disturbing reality. Drew was not in control of his actions due to being drugged. This wasn't a mere lapse in judgment or a reckless indulgence. It was a calculated act by hidden players pulling strings in the shadows. As Drew fights to clear his name, he's embarked on a relentless quest to prove that drugs, specifically ketamine, were present in his system without his consent. His determination stems from a desperate need to maintain the trust of Willow, someone whose opinion matters deeply to him. But the deeper he digs, the murkier the waters become. In a shocking move, Drew has pointed the finger at Tracy Quartermain, accusing her of orchestrating the drugging, despite knowing full well that others, including Portia Robinson, played a significant role. This accusation has set off a ripple effect, stirring tensions within the Quartermain family and beyond, as Drew risks burning bridges to save himself. Picture him in a dimly lit office, poring over medical reports and witness statements, his brow furrowed with the realization that every step forward uncovers more enemies than allies. Portia's involvement and an unexpected savior. Portia Robinson finds herself caught in a dangerous web as her involvement in Drew's drugging comes under scrutiny. Thanks to lab technician Brad Cooper, who has become an unlikely pawn in this high-stakes game, Drew now holds damning leverage over Portia. Brad's manipulated lab results have given Drew the upper hand, placing Portia in a precarious position where one wrong move could expose her role in the scandal. The pressure is mounting as she scrambles to protect her career at General Hospital and her personal life from ruin. However, an unexpected lifeline emerges in the form of her husband, Curtis Ashford. Known for his resourcefulness and unwavering loyalty, Curtis steps in with a plan to neutralize Drew's threats, working behind the scenes to gather intel that could shift the narrative. Their late-night strategy sessions at home, filled with hushed tones and fervent determination, paint a picture of a couple united against a common foe. Even as Portia grapples with the guilt of her actions that night, will Curtis's intervention be enough to save her, or is the damage already done? Nina Reeves, the puppet master behind the chaos. While Portia played a crucial role in accessing the ketamine used to drug Drew, the true mastermind behind this sinister plot is none other than Nina Reeves. It was Nina who set the wheels in motion, orchestrating the entire scheme with chilling precision. Sources reveal that she stumbled upon Jacinda at the Metro Court alongside Boyle, a meeting that sparked the idea to manipulate Drew's downfall. Nina then roped Portia into the plan, exploiting her access to controlled substances at the hospital to secure the necessary drug. Every detail, from the timing to the execution, bore Nina's signature cunning, as she calculated how Drew's compromised state could serve her own agenda. Her involvement has remained a closely guarded secret until now. As the layers of deception begin to peel away, Nina's role as the architect of this scandal looms larger, casting her as a formidable adversary willing to play dirty to achieve her goals. One can almost envision Nina in a quiet corner of the Metro Court, a sly smile on her lips as she watches her plan unfold, unaware that her carefully constructed house of cards is about to come crashing down. Carly Corinthos unleashes Nina's secrets. This week on ABC General Hospital, The tension escalates as Carly Corinthos steps into the fray with a bombshell that could change everything. Driven by a fierce maternal instinct to secure a favorable outcome for her son Michael in an impending custody trial, Carly decides it's time to expose Nina's dark deeds to Drew. The timing couldn't be more critical, as the courtroom battle looms on the horizon, promising to be a brutal clash of family loyalties and hidden truths. Carly, with her signature blend of grit and determination, feels the mounting pressure to tip the scales in Michael's favor. She confronts Drew in a charged encounter, laying bare the extent of Nina's involvement in the drugging incident, detailing how Nina orchestrated the events of that night to manipulate and control. The revelation hits Drew like a freight train, his expression shifting from confusion to rage as the pieces fall into place. Carly's decision to air Nina's dirty laundry isn't just a strategic move, it's personal, fueled by years of animosity and a desire to protect her family at all costs. Their confrontation, set against the backdrop of a quiet park bench away from prying eyes, is charged with raw emotion, each word a dagger aimed at Nina's carefully curated facade. The fallout and unpredictable future in Port Charles. As Carly's expose ripples through Port Charles, the consequences promise to be far-reaching and explosive. Drew, now armed with the truth about Nina's machinations, faces a crossroads. Will he use this information to exact revenge, or will it further complicate his already fragile standing in the community? Portia, still under threat from Drew's leverage, must navigate the fallout with Curtis by her side, their partnership tested by the secrets she's kept. Nina, once the puppet master, now risks becoming the target as her role in the scandal threatens to alienate even her closest allies. The custody trial for Michael hangs in the balance, with Carly's revelations potentially swaying the court's perception of the key players involved. The town buzzes with speculation as coffee shops and hospital corridors become hotbeds of gossip, each resident forming their own theories about who will emerge unscathed from this mess. The future remains uncertain, with fractured relationships and hidden resentments poised to ignite at the slightest provocation, ensuring that Port Charles will never be the same. What are your thoughts on this tangled web of deception and revenge unfolding in Port Charles? Do you think Drew will confront Nina directly after Carly's bombshell, or will he bide his time for a more calculated strike? How do you see Portia and Curtis weathering this storm, and will their bond survive the secrets she's kept? And can Carly's exposure of Nina truly tip the scales in Michael's favor in the custody trial, or will it backfire in unexpected ways?